should go over there. There we are. We're there. So that's cool. I don't have to have that. And then what is also cool, I'm going to pull up the chat. There's a separate chat window. I'm going to pull up Restream chat and get that going.
Awesome.
So, you're in New Orleans. You're in New Orleans, so I'm going to wait for my chat to pop up before we get started because that takes a minute. Oh, really? It already updated. So Restream has to update. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look on my phone and see if I'm live there. Yep, there we are. We're right there.
Hey, look at that. That's us.
So, and it also sends out stuff to go.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I can
It's almost
check on
updated.
YouTube. Yay! So, Monty's going to get us. He's coming for us.
I am.
Yep.
That's what happens when you come and visit New Orleans.
See, and
I
we're
attack
on
your
YouTube.
subscribers.
It's right there.
Oh, awesome.
We have a person on YouTube watching. I know I'm live on Periscope, but I'm going to double check and see. See, I have a separate app for that. So, yep, we're there too. Okay, we got. All right. Thanks for the update, Restream. Now I've got the chat going. Hello, and that'll update, and we've got both Periscope and YouTube comments. We're not streaming to Facebook today because we're on Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi is considerably less reliable than like plugging directly into a source. So
Is it less reliable on Facebook? And
well,
I know this has nothing to do with it, but
well, if the more things you're streaming to, because I would have to pull up a separate tab just for Facebook.
All right.
And go live through there.
all right.
So
All
it
right.
cuts into the bandwidth. This is my
Understandable.
guest. This is Monty Stickman. Monty is involved in what we call the comics.
Yes. Yes.
And he's a comic artist. You can find him on over in Jackson Square from time to time.
No,
with
not
his
Jackson. Frenchman Street.
Frenchman Street. Okay.
Yes. Which is right down there.
It's not too far from here. We are currently at the Rathbone Mansion. It's a gorgeous day outside, and so we thought we would stream outside. Lay Bon Kong, behind us. So this is cool. So this is Monty Stickman. I've known him for a very long time now. I forgot how many years.
Oh, I don't even know how many years. And again, I was saying, you can find the exact day we met if you look up when Kevin Smith had that whole thing with flying. Because we met that day.
Yes. Yes. The Kevin Smith.
Too Fat to Fly.
Yes, Southwest Airlines.
Yes.
Somebody's
Tiff.
asking if you have a YouTube.
Not yet, but soon. I used to do a show called Monty and the Mongoose's Little Show, and it's coming back, minus the mongoose. So if you've ever heard of that show, there are a few people that listen to it. If you ever heard of that show, it'll be me and Hannibal, who is the other host on the show. We're coming back, and we're going to do a live streaming YouTube thing like this.
Yes, and I used to be on Monty and the Mongoose from time to time. I'd swing by and we'd talk about things. We talked about, we would talk about superheroes.
Oh yeah, we talked about all kinds of stuff.
It was fun.
Yes.
It was fun.
Good times.
So today we're going to talk about Hannibal Buress. Is that?
No. Hannibal the Beat Animal. 1/3 of Team MFN, the world's mightiest something or another. I'm sorry, Hannibal, if you're watching. I got your whole thing wrong. But he's a great music producer.
Once he gets his show up, I'll send you guys a link to it. So since Monty's all about the superheroes and the comic books, and we are all about that, I have talked about the science of sci-fi. So today, I didn't update the Restream thing. Hold on. I didn't update the title. Hold on. I have to fix a thing. I will update the title. Okay, so if you're watching on Periscope, the title is not updated. I'll update the title on YouTube. This is technically the science of superheroes. Superhero science. We're going to talk about that today. So the title is misleading. I'm on vacation, guys.
What does the title say?
I think it says this. Let me see what the title says. That's a good question. See, I mess up sometimes, and this is what
Yes, that
happens.
was a long time ago. We've been friends for a long time.
We have been friends for a long time. It's been awesome, though.
And it's rare that I meet people on the internet and become friends with them.
It says the science of 1,000 subscribers. That is not.
Right.
That is not true. I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna edit that right now. The science of superheroes. Okay, so I can't fix it on Periscope. It won't let me. So, all right, I fixed it. It's fixed now. It's fixed. It's the science of superhero science. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get started.
All right. I'm gonna follow your lead.
So this is going to be awesome. So I thought we could start with talking about, if you're not familiar with superheroes, then I don't know what to say to you about that. You should go and familiarize yourself with superheroes.
Yeah, what are you doing? Like, Infinity War is coming out in a month. If you're not into superheroes, what's wrong with you?
And Black Panther, oh my god. We could talk about the tech behind Black Panther because...
Yeah. How does vibranium work?
Vibranium.
Like, you're a scientist. How often have you worked with vibranium? Have you been to Wakanda?
I have not been to Wakanda, but I would really like to go there. I would love to check out their lab. I mean,
that's all real, right?
Yeah,
every bit of
it. It has to be.
All right.
It has to be real. If it's not, I'm gonna be so upset. God, Wakanda forever. I was like, that movie was so amazing. I was sitting there going, God. I cried a little. I'm like, I'm so happy right now. It was such a beautifully done film.
Oh, me too.
Such strong characters. Amazing representation of women.
Yeah.
And the princess being a freaking scientist. I'm like, yes.
Yep. And she's a badass at the same time.
Gosh, yes, for real. She just, she's like, I don't have to do much. I'm just going to push these buttons. Zoom. We're done. Hey, I'm like.
And I love that she used those weird things that she was making throughout the story. You always saw her tinkering with them, and then she picks them up when the fight starts. Like, oh, we get to see what that is.
Yep. And she's like, I'm going to take care of business. Hang on. Let me get my settings right. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. And what's up with those magic balls that heal spinal injuries?
I don't know. The only thing I think is that's nanotech, which is something I'm familiar with. So if we're going to look at those magic balls that heal injuries.
Yeah.
All right. I know that kind of gets a little bit Star Trek-like in regards to trying to determine what is wrong with a particular individual as far as a disease or something. But nanotech is going to be the future in regards to healing and delivery of medication. I worked in nanoparticle technology in regards to drug delivery systems as well as detection. There are various types of nanoparticles you can have. So perhaps inside that ball, they could have had lysosomes, those are little kind of vesicles, little bubbles that are not lysosomes. That's inside of a cell that does something else. The word that I meant to say was vesicles, not lysosomes. That's an organelle that destroys cells. You don't want that. You don't want lysosomes blowing up your cells. So let me get the correct word. The correct word is vesicle. So you can have liposomes. That is the word we need.
All right.
It sounds like lysosomes, but it's not the same. So thank you, science. Liposome has a lipid layer. Just like your cells have a lipid bilayer, liposomes have a single lipid layer that are like bubbles. They're like little fat bubbles. If you were to in a basic science example would to be pouring olive oil into water, and it makes those little circles, those little micelles.
Gotcha.
Okay, hello everyone, fellow science nerds. So science now is able to make what we call a lipid layer, and sometimes they're lipid bilayers, and that forms those little bubbles, those little circles, and inside of that they can put medication, they can put genetic code like RNA, which could initiate cells to make proteins, to encourage healing and things like that. So if you have one of these little black balls, for healing, for, in the Black Panther film, it's likely they could be filled with these liposomes that have medication in it. So, that's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
You could have that. And if you're trying to, so that would probably be the best way, because then you don't have to worry about things collecting in your body. Used to a lot of things in regards to nanotech, they look at gold because gold is inert in the body. It doesn't really do anything to us. It doesn't react with anything. So you could attach a medication to a gold nanoparticle, inject it into a person. One thing that they were trying to do with cancer was that they were attaching a chemotherapy type of drug to a gold nanoparticle. They naturally collect in tumor cells and like tumor tissues. And once they collect there, they were exploring blasting it with heat or laser and releasing that drug directly in the tumor, as opposed to it being introduced all over the body.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was one technology that I worked on a while ago. So that's something that, you can kind of look at. So the little balls of healing stuff. That they could just be like liposomes inside of there with medicine and
magic.
Other things. It's
See,
magic.
I just think of it as magic.
It's magic.
I go with the Thor thinking, like, what you call magic, we call science.
Yes.
So it's magic.
It's just magic. Magic is science that's not been explained yet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Kinda. Yes, I have to get in that girl's lab.
Oh yeah. I kind of want to get in there too, but I'd be in there destroying things. What is this? Is that supposed to come off?
Oh gosh.
What is that?
And now they have tech suits to where you can actually become invisible. There's new stuff that's coming out.
Like that's a real thing?
Yeah, to where because people are worried about being seen on like camera.
Oh,
and so
all
it's kind of like I don't know all of the tech behind it.
Does it use the same? Would it be the same technology as not technology? I guess it is technology. Those you can buy, like, you have your license plate numbers.
Yeah.
You can buy numbers that are the exact same font, and you overlay them on your numbers so that if a traffic camera catches you, your numbers are invisible.
Oh wow! I have not heard that.
Yes. I think that's a real thing. I saw it on the internet. I don't.
Yeah, the internet never lies.
I didn't research deeper, but it looked like a real thing. They were selling it. I didn't buy it because.
Yeah, there's some kind of thing that you can wear. I think it's something that just stops facial recognition technology. I think is what it is.
Oh
where
wow!
You're invisible on that. I probably should look that up. But
I thought you were
I've seen a
talking
thing
like
about that.
Predator invisibility, because that would be.
Yeah, but I think that would only work on tech, not actual human eyes.
Yeah. All right.
So yes, I will look that up and get back to you guys later on that. And so I'd be like, here's all the information for that. So
Yes.
so we've talked a bit about Black Panther.
Yes.
We could hop over to DC and talk a bit about Wayne Tech and all that.
All right,
stuff,
let's get in there.
Some of that stuff is weird, Okay, so one of my favorite things I like to kind of go through, and I spent probably spent like 3 days on like a forum somewhere on the internet talking about all of the physics associated. That scene was The Dark Knight Rises, where he jumps out of the window after Maggie Gyllenhaal. She Joker just throws her out the window because that's a Joker move.
Yeah, Joker's a jerk.
He just he don't care. So Batman's like, no, and he just jumps out the window too, and I'm like, there goes Batman out the window. I wasn't expecting that when I first saw it. I was like, but it's also kind of a Batman move. A little bit.
I wish I were brave enough to just jump out of a window like that without knowing what I'm going to do once I get out. Because I imagine in that situation, you don't really know what's going on down there. You jump out and you're going to figure it out in the moment. I'm not that quick.
Yeah, it's like, and that's a lot of trust in Lucius Fox's technology.
Yeah.
So you're like, I have on this body armor, and all I can think of is like when you can see it on science shows where they're like, okay, we have to have the egg in the box thing, and you got to drop it from the building, and you have to generate a box. that will preserve the egg to where it doesn't like bust.
So it doesn't break.
And so I'm thinking like, how in the world does that go with Wayne Tech, with body armor like that? And then he's sliding out and he's like, I'm gonna hold her.
Yeah.
And then my body's gonna take all the damage as it hits like, and it hits the taxi, and it's enough to cause it to cave a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised it didn't go further than that. But then, how tall do you think that building was?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember
it
exactly
had to have been
how.
At least 13 floors.
Yeah, especially if it's enough, or depending on how heavy the suit is too, or how much, right? That would count.
I mean that would be something too. But then when you're thinking about the whole thing as it goes through, if you were to do the real time of that had to have been way more than 13 floors, because you figure like a floor, even if it was like a floor a second, you go faster. It's acceleration, 9.8 meters per second squared. You're increasing your speed the longer you fall. And so that was probably like a solid, 15, 20 seconds of them falling.
Yeah.
And so you figured it's probably more like 20 floors, 20 to 30 floors at that point, I think.
Yeah, it has to be designed to take some sort of impact. So like that, and like the Iron Man scene, like where in the Infinity War trailer, where he gets punched, like because you imagine it's built to take hits like that.
Yes.
Both armors, like the Batman and the Iron Man armor.
Hello, thank you, Caitlin. Yes, this isn't my 1,000 subscribers. I got the title wrong. We're talking about superhero science right now. So yes, thanks. So when you're thinking about that force has to go somewhere, because we can't break Newton's laws, right?
Yeah.
And so if the suit is gonna, like whether it's Batman falling onto the top of the thing, and the taxi took some of that force, because it absorbed some of that. The rest of that had to go with the suit, because Maggie was unharmed, but, and she was lying flat, so the force was distributed across her body. It was distributed across his body, and so it was like the force was spread out across the armor, so that helped. If it had been this way, to where they were standing up, you would have been like dealing with broken legs.
Yeah.
Like shattered femurs and shattered hips. I mean, Maggie would have been in the hospital for probably 6 months. So, because the force then would have gone straight up through the body. But when you're flat, it's less, and the force is distributed out across. So when you're looking at how in the world did they overcome with the Wayne Tech to where it's spread out across the body like that, to where Bruce didn't have some kind of internal damage.
Yeah. Little springs throughout wouldn't be enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, that had, you're thinking like the space foam.
Yeah.
Maybe the space foam, but how is that really for like punching baddies?
Yeah.
If you got like space foam all around your arms.
Well, you'd still hurt them. You wouldn't hurt yourself though, right?
Yeah, but if it's restrictive.
Yeah.
If you have the restrictive space foam around like your body to where it's gonna absorb some of that force, that's gotta be, you gotta like probably practice fighting in it.
Yeah. Oh man, see, you've got me thinking.
So how does Batman?
That's the area I always suspend disbelief on. Like, he's just Batman.
You have to a little bit. You have to just like be like, Lucius Fox is a genius. He overcame all of that.
Yeah.
Hand wavy thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
he got hit really hard and flew through a brick wall. He's gonna get up.
He's
fine.
He's gonna, Lucius is a genius.
Yeah.
He's a flipping genius. He overcomes physics.
Yeah. It's the same as seeing people in, like, regular people get thrown through something. How did you get up so fast?
Just gotta dust off, get up, get them fists going, and just keep
I hate to bring up Beavis and Butthead with it again, but it's like that scene where they're watching RoboCop and he busts through the wall and they decide they're going to try it. And Beavis goes head first into the wall and he's knocked out for an entire episode.
Gosh, that'll be the next thing for warning labels, like with Walmart stuff, like don't put your kid in this bin because it's a drowning hazard. And you're like, it's a bin that you would store things in. I'm not quite certain why you would have water in there.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe it's one of those parties where they just fill up like a giant bin and just put stuff in it, like, you know, like fruit and
Yeah.
like a party, you know, with alcoholic beverages.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you wouldn't want your kid in that either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, so the next thing will be like, this is a superhero film. Do
Yeah.
not attempt to throw your friends into a
Yes.
wall.
Don't throw your friends into walls.
You
They
know, and
don't
then
pass out.
somebody, I can just see it now. Somebody is going to sue Disney or Marvel. They're saying, my child put on the Iron Man costume and ran into a brick wall and broke his face.
Yes. Yes. Or my child put on the Iron Man helmet and his friend punched him as hard as he could because they wanted to recreate that Thanos punch.
Yeah, that's just, boom, you know. And then when that
But
didn't
points.
work,
They did recreate it. He hit the ground.
yes, it's like that didn't work, so they picked up a sledgehammer to look like Thor, you know, and just boom, and just hit him with it that way, you know. So it's just like, oh, I have a feeling that's going to be next.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
going to be next, isn't it?
The world of superhero movies.
Or
All
there'll
right.
be disclaimers.
Here's something that you might not have thought about because I've been thinking about this since we started talking tech.
Okay.
How do you think Spider-Man's web shooters will work?
Man, I know there is so much stuff going on with that film.
Yes.
So,
Like I'm talking like the comic web shooters where Peter Parker sat in a lab and developed a fluid that was strong enough to swing from, but had enough to get through most of a story because he usually ran out. He had a few cartridges that
Yeah.
he'd fill it a couple times.
gosh. Well, you know, the only thing I can think of is that they resolved the issue of generating synthetic spider webs.
Yeah.
Because that could conceivably do it. I know that scientists were still trying to utilize and possibly regenerate or make synthetic spider web technology because of the fact it's so strong. They were
Yeah.
thinking this could be used in body armor,
Yeah.
you know, stop bullets, bandaging, you know, that's a thing, rope, you know. So if there's spider
Spider-Man
webs
uses
still,
it for all of that.
yeah, so possibly they overcame the concerns in regards of not being able to make synthetic spider web silk or spider
Yeah.
silk, because that's been actively a problem in for science. They have not been able to regenerate that in the lab on a human scale. There's still nothing quite as strong as spider silk,
All right.
but they are getting better with carbon nanotubes. You know?
Carbon nanotubes.
Yes.
All right,
There's,
explain.
Okay, so there's the name. See, sometimes remembering names is hard of things. And so there's the strongest material is also considered the blackest material. It's that carbon, that one
Black is
single
better.
layer. Fair enough. Yeah. There's like a single layer of carbon. That's the black material. No light passes through it. It's also considered the strongest material on the planet. We can also make it into little balls. We can make it into tubes. And so, but it's made out of carbon. So it's very, very possible that they could have utilized some stretchy form of that in regards to the spider silk, but it comes out
Alright.
white in that case.
Yeah.
It's not black.
And the other thing is, I think I saw in some comics that in other folds they have that make it more complicated. It dissolves after a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it could.
So
It could. I mean, I haven't actually tested spider silk to see how long it. Graphene. That's the word. Thank you, Greater Chaos. Graphene. That's it. That's that single layer of carbon atoms that's completely black and no light passes through it. Graphene. And
All
you
right.
can make carbon nanotubes out of that. You can make like little nanoparticles, single to 2 atom nanoparticles of graphene.
all right.
Isn't that amazing?
What did that
But
guy
yeah.
say? Oh, all right.
Spider-Man web hypothesis, Bombardier beetle altered DNA. Possibly. You know, it'd be really interesting if they isolated the genes associated with making spider silk. If they were able to take that RNA and inject it into like a host cell to see if maybe then we
Yeah.
could make lab-made spider silk.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool.
How thick is that stuff to the spider though? Would it be like strands like that thick? Because I'm imagining the size of a spider and how thin spider webs are.
God, yeah, that would be pretty thick.
Like if you blew it up.
Yeah, gosh, gosh. Oh, and yeah, graphene also conducts electricity with no resistance.
Oh, wow. All
Yeah.
right. I actually understood
cool.
that.
Yeah. So, how's the ethanol side effects from movie night live? Yeah, that was last night. I was not on movie night with Sci Strike last night. That was, you guys went on alone on that one. I was too busy being here enjoying myself on my vacation in
New Orleans.
beautiful New Orleans. Leave a little fuzzy this morning. So what we've covered so far, we've talked about liposomes and possible tech of Black Panther with the black healing ball thingy. So we
Yes.
talked about that, the possibility of that. We talked about Wayne tech with Batman and what you'd have to overcome in order to, deal with that. Landing flat on a car, because that has to hurt a lot, you
Yeah.
know. And then in the last film, what does he do? He retires because he's in so much pain. Spoilers, by the
Yeah.
way, but I don't consider it spoilers now. Spoilers now because it's like years and years old. So
Yes, I think a human would shoot webs out of his butt.
yes,
That
I
would be
think
real
so.
Spider-Man.
That's probably a thing that people would try to do. I know I actually do need to do a video on the new trend of people trying to CRISPR themselves.
Trying
Don't
to
do
CRISPR
that.
themselves?
Yes,
Wait.
there's like a CRISPR kit. People are trying to CRISPR themselves. That's the thing now.
Wow. All right. What exactly is crisping or CRISPRing
Okay, so
oneself?
CRISPR is a technology. Are you familiar with CRISPR?
No.
CRISPR is gene editing technology.
Okay.
To where they're essentially able to take a particular enzyme that they find in bacteria,
Yeah.
and you're able to target a specific genetic code, all right, and then you can alter it.
All right. In what way?
Swapping out nucleotides to where you can change the particular function of a gene to where it makes a different protein. For instance, if you have a gene that's associated with muscular dystrophy, in theory, and that gene is like is essentially a mutated version of another one, you can go in and alter that gene in order to get it to act more like the normal version,
All right.
to where you no longer have this issue. So people are now buying CRISPR kits, trying to do this for themselves. They're buying it on the internet. So
Wow. Wait, on the internet?
Yes,
Who's
they're buying
selling
it.
this?
Somebody sent me a link, and I'm like, y'all, please don't do this. Please don't gene edit yourself. That's a very, very bad idea, and don't recommend it at all.
People are stupid.
I'm kind of for just removing warning labels off of certain things and just let natural selection.
Exactly.
sort some of
Just
this
let it
out,
happen.
man.
Just leave them. Let them do it.
It's just like, we have the Darwin Awards for a reason.
Yeah.
Can we reverse aging? That's a pretty interesting question. I'll get to that in a second. Do you think that the Flash's ability to vibrate at a particular frequency really let him move through solid objects? I don't get how it could be done without losing your own atoms and breaking apart. That is very true.
I always worried about that. What if he left a little bit of himself in there?
See, and then I kind of default to the whole Star Trek thing about being able to transport yourself and beam yourself down. What happens if your transporter's off a bit? You end
I'd
up
never do
as
that,
a goo
ever.
mess. And in regards to that, okay, so if we look at the current technology in regards to being able to beam things through light,
Yeah.
they're able to do it with a photon. They're able to transport a photon or something very small like that using quantum entanglement. Okay, now we're going to get into some weirdness.
All right.
Right, so quantum entanglement means essentially that things interact with one another on a quantum level. And they so if you have one thing and you're doing something to a particular particle, another particle nearby is going to respond to that.
All right.
And so if you try to move one particular particle, it's going to kind of cause this other one to kind of go with it. And so that's kind of what they're trying to use in moving things across long distances, like Star Trek Transporter. Now, in regards to the Flash, if you move at a very, very fast frequency, now the only thing that I can think of that we have in regards to science would be Einstein's theory of relativity. Okay, we have the energy equation. So he would have to be moving at the speed of light to a degree in order to, overcome time and that sort of thing. But then you have the mass issue. Okay, so if you're moving at a speed that's really, really fast. And he's like, well, I'm sonically well, you can still sonically, that's still speed, right?
Yeah.
You can like, I'm sonically moving. Well, you're still talking about moving atoms at a speed.
Yeah.
Whether it's at the sonic level or the light level. Okay, that's still a speed. So you're trying to move your atoms to get through a wall. You would have to move yourself at that speed and the other thing at that speed in order for you to kind of like pass through it. That's the only way that I can wrap my brain around that. So if he's able to actually make the wall move just as fast as he does.
Or could he vibrate the wall so much that he liquefied it and then just...
I would think so. I would think that if you shook atoms enough to where they moved really, really very quickly, I mean, it would eventually fall apart. I mean, you know.
So realistically, if you wanted to make it a little more believable, whatever, like if he moved through this wall, this would be a little distorted by the time he got through it.
Yes, he would have to move the wall before he could rearrange his own atoms.
So it wouldn't look the same if the Flash walked through it.
Right. It shouldn't. It shouldn't.
All right. It's good to know.
Yes.
DC Comics, keep an eye out. When you let me draw Flash, I want him to vibrate through a wall. And
you want to say? I would say he would have to vibrate the wall to get it to be non-existent in order for him to get through it. I doubt very seriously he could get his own atoms to rearrange back into what he wanted at will.
Yeah, that would require a different type of concentration, I think.
Yeah. So let me go back. We had a whole lot of questions pop through.
Oh yeah, there was some. There was lots on the butt webbing going on.
Yeah, butt webs. Can you reverse aging? I'll touch on that really quickly. All right. So if we had a superhero that was able to stay eternally young, or like Wolverine doesn't age so quickly. Okay, it took him a long time to get old, right? Old man Logan, right? One of the things that I used to talk about when I was teaching high school was the fact that Wolverine is the most plausible X-Men because of the fact he likely has an unlimited supply of what we call telomerase or telomerase. That's another. I say words wrong sometimes, and I try to correct myself. So if I say a word wrong, let me know. I'm terrible with names too, and that's totally my fault.
They all sound right to me.
So I can say Monty's name because it's just 2 syllables and it's, very easy to say. So, but other names I'm terrible at. So, all right. So in regards to Wolverine, he likely has what we call an unlimited supply of the enzyme telomerase or telomerase. What happens is when your cells divide, whenever you injure yourself or, and you have the healing mechanism, your cells undergo mitosis. And so they have to make more copies of themselves. Well, you have something called shortening telomeres that are on the ends of your DNA. And as you get older, you have less and less of this enzyme that puts the telomeres back together. So you lose these ends of DNA, and the more DNA you lose, the more you start to age. So all of these aging effects we have, the wrinkles, the white hair, the sagging skin, you have less collagen, that's all associated with shrinking telomeres. So old man Logan has a huge amount of telomerase that fills in that DNA that goes missing. So essentially, when people age, they're losing DNA. And so if you have those telomeres intact, that's how you kind of stay younger longer. Now, whether or not you can reverse that, possibly if you're able to put the original coding back on there that you lost. If that makes sense.
My question with Wolverine was always, I get that he heals fast.
Yes.
Why isn't he covered in scars, though?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Scar tissue has to do with the fact that you have really rapid healing, but you've managed to have a little bit of mutation happen. So that skin tissue it's not quite what it used to be.
All right. So he technically should be covered in scars then.
Yeah,
right?
If he had like if he had mutated skin cells, if his skin cells managed to mutate due to rapid healing, that would be a case. Yeah. But then scar
he's all about the rapid healing.
Yeah,
it's in seconds.
He could.
Yeah.
But Star Trek transporters would kill you and just make a copy unless there's
That is my fear. Yes, who said that? Freighter chaos?
Freighter
yes, I'm
chaos,
with you. That's why I would never. I don't want to die and have a copy of me live.
So,
No.
am I volunteering for experimentation? Sci-Strike. So Sci-Strike has said something. The Chinese are at the forefront of CRISPR, are they not? I think so. But out where I live, there's lots of CRISPR tech. There's whole divisions of it at specific
Wow.
research hospitals where
Yeah,
they're
I've never heard of this.
incorporating CRISPR. Yeah, I did a show on CRISPR, Monty.
All right.
I'll break it down for you.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so that's how my name is Worf, human. Amazon could have same-day delivery. I'm good, scientist. Well, thank you. Why don't they use transporters to make them immortal? Couldn't they edit the pattern buffer to replace the old version of you? That's possible. That's very, very possible. And that would kind of make a lot of sense. But you would think in the Star Trek world, since they're able to, remove cancer so quickly, you think they could kind of preserve humans a bit longer and overcome that telomerase thing to where people wouldn't just age so quickly. Don't worry, even your incorrect things are smarter than most people's correct things. We know this from watching YouTube, don't we?
Oh, yeah. That's memories. We're talking about superheroes, not that, though.
I guess that explains Deadpool. Yeah.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, that's very true. Deadpool, he does rapid healing, and he does have a lot of scar tissue all over him, doesn't he?
Yep.
Man, maybe that's probably a side effect of all of the genetic changes that he underwent, He does have, he's super freaking strong, so it's possible he could also develop a lot of muscle tissue kind of quickly. Scary movie, flashback to Fly. Jeff Goldblum, though. I gotta love Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, yeah.
He made Thor Ragnarok just
he was phenomenal.
Wonderful.
He was phenomenal. Oh, speaking of Thor, that's a science question.
Yes.
A hammer that only one person can lift, if he's worthy. Can you explain that?
I would think probably nanotech would have something to do with that. You could probably incorporate a little bit of that into there. Who was it from the Avengers? That
budged it? Cap.
Yeah, Captain budget a little bit, but somebody was actually able to pick it up. The one that was Jarvis.
Oh, Vision. Yeah, Vision picked it up.
Vision picked it up. Vision picked up. Is it the Milgenor? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, yep. I can't pronounce it.
I can't say it either.
We'll say it like in the Thor movie, meow meow.
Meow meow.
That's what the Jane's friend kept calling it because she couldn't pronounce it. What about meow meow?
Meow meow sounds good. Meow meow is the name of the hammer. See, what I think is interesting is it's likely that there could be some, maybe it's a gene thing. Maybe it's a gene thing to where there's like an excessive amount of magnetic force that comes on. And if you possess a certain type of coding, maybe it's an electromagnetic frequency that somebody gives off that's highly specific to the person. I don't know if that's actually a thing. Okay, I don't know if that's actually a thing. That could be a thing. You could have like built-in nanotech in your hand that triggers it to where it releases the magnetic pull on it to where you could pick it up.
Well,
that's
there's a guy that built a Thor hammer, a replica of Thor's hammer that used magnetism.
Yeah.
He built it so that and he'd test people with it. There's a YouTube video. I'll send you a link if you want to throw it in.
That'd be cool.
But basically what he does is he builds his hammer and sits it down on some metal surface, and he would challenge people to pick it up, and nobody could pick it up, and he had it rigged so that there was like a thumbprint thing. When he'd pick it up, he'd tap that, and he could lift it.
It turns off the... See, that works. See, that could be a thing, man. Maybe it's a thumbprint Thor thing. See, that's like way easier than my extremely complicated... It's really complicated.
Like, I want to believe there's some scientific explanation because they established in the Thor movie that it's just science. It's just science. You don't understand.
It could be a thumbprint thing.
Yeah.
Maybe Vision.
But that wouldn't explain why when he wasn't worthy, he still couldn't pick it up.
Maybe Odin changed the code.
Yes. There you go. You solved it. We figured it out.
Odin changed the fingerprint.
Yeah. He looked down.
Not today, Satan.
Yeah. He looked down and he's like, "Okay, you can have it now."
See, it's like an app. Okay, so if you're a parent, there's like an app you can put on your kid's phone. It's called Mobile Fence, where you can remotely shut off their apps.
Oh, perfect.
Yes, you can. It's
Zoe,
Mobile
download
Fence.
Mobile Fence. My daughter's over there.
You can regulate how long they're on their phone. You could set it to where the only person they can call is you. So, so that's a thing. So maybe Odin had mobile fence.
There we go.
On Thor's hammer.
We just cracked the code. We figured out how it works.
That's what it was. That's what it was. And then Vision knew. He's like, yeah, I got this because I know the code to get past mobile fence.
Or Vision just hacked it because
Vision hacked it. Vision hacked it. And maybe the vibranium in Captain's in his shield, maybe that shook the hammer a bit because it wouldn't the hammer be made out of vibranium? That would make sense.
It would.
Yeah.
Well, no, vibranium is only in Wakanda, and
that's
Asgard
true.
is another realm.
Asgard is another realm, but you do have Loki steal stuff.
That's true.
Loki could have shown up and stole
All right, so
things
it could be.
Wakanda,
It could be.
But
I think in Infinity War we'll find out how the hammer was made.
That would be cool.
He's got to get a new one.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Gosh, let's see. We got questions here.
All right.
Viking lore for the win. Good to be true Viking. All right. Think the thing with transporters is that you have this no cloning theorem, and that will destroy the origin, at least if this is a quantum physics thing. Well, maybe. They would have to overcome a lot of that and be able to put people back together after they zapped them somewhere. That's you would have to have but Doctor Who did this, right? Okay, let's look at Doctor Who. You remember when Tennant showed up?
Yeah.
And it was like the version of the Titanic.
Yeah.
And they were able to keep people when they were able to transport them, they kept a copy of them in the computer exactly as they were, all of their configurations set up, and then they were able to bring them back based on that, almost kind of like super fast 3D printing of tissues, except people. So maybe...
See, to me, that still seems like... I don't know that that's me. Like, the me that's going in might not be the me coming out. That other me is probably exactly like me, and nobody else would know the difference. But I won't be alive anymore.
Yeah, that's weird, And then if you're familiar with Altered Carbon, if you've not seen that show I believe is on Netflix. Oh my god, it's amazing. It's a bit slow. Yeah, it's a bit slow at first.
All right.
But essentially you have in your brain, everybody's got this implant thing that stores your consciousness.
All right.
Everything you've ever learned on there. And so if your body dies, they're able to just take that out and put you in a new skin.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So you could be like a chick ended up in a dude's body, if you're not one of the wealthy people who have your bodies cloned, as they are. And so that's one thing. So that's something to think about if you're able to do that. All right. Does your guest remember the channel name? The channel name.
I think he's talking about the video with the hammer. I don't. I will find that video. I'm going to put a note in my phone so I don't forget when this is over.
Somebody said the Meow Meow, Milgenor, has an anti-grav and inertial damper tech in it and a simple AI to test people. Is AI simple though? I've seen AI learn how to run and it looks hilarious.
Learn how to run?
Yes. Have you seen the video of somebody taught an AI and they were trying to teach an AI how to walk and run, and it just looks like it's just doing this while it's running.
No.
It's just like running like dart, and you're like, oh god, it's hilarious. Oh, it's so funny. And it's just, and most people, it takes them months and months and months and months and months to learn how to walk, let alone run. And this one is just like booking it.
Oh, wow.
Like, oh my god. And it looks hilarious.
All right, so, I'm going to have to see that then.
It isn't just a simple hammer is what I'm saying. Okay, well, that's fair enough. He became worthy with Christopher. Oh, goodness. We have at least 2 genuine Vikings in the YouTube live chat. Yay! Oh, Asgard can make its own vibranium. Can it? Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
They can do all kinds of other stuff, so I'll believe that.
This topic is the one that keeps me up at night.
Wait, which topic?
Yeah, we jumped all over the place. I guess the teleportation, maybe.
Yes.
Have seen Altered Carbon. It wasn't bad. It's a slow start. It's a slow start in the beginning. Let's see.
I'm just taking the shuttlecraft, thanks. That would be me.
Yeah, that would be me too. No, also McCoy.
Yeah, I'll be there. What does it take, like an hour to get down there in this? I'll see you there.
We'll bring an audiobook.
Yeah, you guys have breakfast and I'll meet you.
Yeah. You're still... Okay, Hans. Simple AIs and doesn't have a personality or free will, simple for curvy space god tech. Fair enough. So, we've been on for 45 minutes.
Nice.
It's not been long. It doesn't feel like it's been
No,
that
it
long.
doesn't. It doesn't. I was worried about this because I was like, I'm not prepared. I don't know. Like, when we start talking science, like, I told you earlier, I understand it on a basic level, and I know that about me. So,
That's okay.
but I'm in a position where I just get to ask questions, and you
Yeah.
can explain things and teach me a little. So this is great.
And if you guys aren't familiar, Monty did my initial design for my science of. So he's the one that drew the atoms and the science
Yes.
of. So way back, like it's over a year now. Can you
Oh,
believe
yeah,
it's
it has
over,
been that
it's
long.
Been almost
Yes.
over a year. And so when I initially started my show, and I talk about that on my year anniversary, I would just print out what he sent me and hold it up and draw a picture of myself and fill in a blank. So I literally just held up pieces of paper.
I remember that too.
Yeah, so it's like that's what I used to do. And so he did my initial design, and then Gonna Go For It took it and made it into intros for me. So I'm lucky to know like really
There you go.
artistic people that
Teamwork.
are awesome. Teamwork works, man. So Monty's gonna have a new show soon. Tell me about it. What you gonna do with it?
Oh, we're just gonna randomly talk about things. We're gonna pick what's going on. It's gonna be me, Hannibal the Beat Animal, not Hannibal Buress, but and we're gonna have random guests, and we're gonna probably talk about what's going on. Like if the show were coming on a month ago, our topic would have been the Monique situation with Netflix, and we're just gonna sit and talk. Like our rule before on our old show, we used to always talk nerdy stuff, but
Yes.
our rule was never talk politics. That's off the table. We're gonna talk about whatever. And-
It's hard to separate politics in the current
Yeah.
climate. I mean, it affects a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes I get a little bit political, but to be quite honest, you know, I'm a woman in STEM, and a lot of problems are associated where you have government funding that's taken away. I'm
Yep.
not in academia now, and that's one of the reasons. You know, I'm like, there's just no funding. So it's kind of really hard to completely separate yourself from politics when it's such a huge part of your life,
Yeah.
you know? And if it affects you directly, then, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't
So,
really do that.
so that's back on the table. It'll be basically me and a man in a mask going back and forth, and random guests here and there.
Yeah.
And we'll watch random videos. I'll bring stuff on. I'm gonna get him going on flat earthers because I follow a lot of conspiracy theorists. It is my favorite thing in the world. So I haven't found any that I agree with yet, but they are hilarious. Hilarious. Just how the conviction these people have. Just this is true. Wake up. Wake up. I'm like, I'm awake. What are you on? Like,
And
but
you're
keep
not
going.
sharing.
Yeah, keep going. So there'll be a lot of talk about that. A lot of us making fun of people.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And I'll send you stuff.
Yes.
I'm going to send you things.
Oh yes,
too,
yes,
so
and
it'll be fun.
we're getting scientist Mel involved in some of the craziness. So
Well, you know, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
yes,
It'll
yes.
be a good time.
Hopefully, if it works out, you'll be our pre-intro, then the intro.
Today on this episode, we're going to talk about blah, 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 blah,
Yes.
blah. And then just, you know, something random. Just like, and now for something entirely different. It's like a Monty Python thing.
Yeah, yeah. Good times. Good times.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's basically it. And I think we've settled on the name. We've got to talk about this as the name of the show.
Oh,
So
that sounds cool. We got to talk about this.
yeah.
All right, I like that. That's cool. Gosh, so we've got some more people to talk. Monique situation.
Oh, you know, Monique, who said that we should boycott Netflix for racial and gender bias. And look, I'm all about standing up for racial and gender bias when it's actually there. So, but I don't want to get your channel. I don't want to get you in trouble by spewing my opinion on that. If anybody loves Monique, because I'm like, you're hurting the cause if it's not that. Stop it.
If it's not a duck, don't call it a duck.
Yeah.
You know, that is a real problem,
Yeah.
especially amongst people that are, you know, and to be fair, people get very worked up and passionate about something because they see it so often.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I'm guilty of that. I get people in my ads that are just like, well, you're wrong about this. And I'm like, are you just... And I'm like, oh, wait, no, I was. I was wrong about
Do you
this.
get like a paragraph in and go, oh wait, no, Delete.
Yeah, so I'll be like, you're like, oh no, yeah, I was wrong about that. This isn't a mansplaining situation. I actually was wrong about this. And then I'll be like, okay. So and sometimes because I get that so often.
Yeah.
Because I get that all the time. It's just like, oh, here's another guy. And I'm like, oh wait, no, it's not that. This guy is actually a pretty cool dude.
Yeah.
And he's just saying, no, Mel, you're just wrong about this one thing. Here you go. And I'm like, oh, yes, I was. And if I'm wrong, man, I'm wrong.
Yeah. And that's a good balance to have. And
if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I learned something.
Yeah.
You know, we have to be wrong in order to learn something.
Yeah, that's the best part about being wrong, because it shows you more doors that you haven't walked through, so you can figure out what's up.
People got to stop this stigma that being wrong means you're a bad person or stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm going to be wrong about I don't know, probably a lot of like how many forces on a pulley physics, because I don't care about it. So it's like, if you want to talk about, two electrons moving in a field physics, I'm all about that. Quantum physics, I gotcha. But you wanted me to ask, like how many forces on a pulley?
Yeah.
I don't
well,
care.
when we plan a big group trip to Wakanda, and you actually get to meet Shuri, you might find out you were wrong about vibranium.
I probably am very wrong about vibranium. I've not done work with vibranium, so I can't,
And you just have to accept being wrong. You can't show up and be like, no, that's not how it works.
Now, Shuri, I'm here to explain to you your own research.
Yeah, so.
Oh, I would never do that. I don't think I would ever do that to another woman. Walk out, I'm here to explain to you your own research. Because you're just wrong, Shuri.
Yeah, you're totally wrong on this.
I'm pretty certain I'd get my butt kicked.
Yeah, I don't understand how this suit even works, with what you did.
You didn't really do that. Come on, man. You faked this, Shuri. This is total fake.
Yes.
I would never do that. I'm pretty certain Shuri would, kick my butt.
Yes.
She'd just, be like, oh, no, honey. That's not
in the
how we
comics,
do it,
she does become the next Black Panther.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
And she has this badass moment where the Panther God's like, no, you can't be the next Black Panther. And she's like,
you want
the hell I can't.
You gonna
drink
sit
up?
Let me take you to school.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn something today.
Yeah.
So, I love Shuri. I love
me too.
her. Oh my
Me too.
God, she was just so great, and I loved at the end. Spoilers. At the end, cover your ears. She gets involved in inner city STEM programs. I love that so much. I'm like, I cried a little. I was because I tried really hard to do something similar in my county, and a lot of people fought me on it. It was hard. I couldn't get funding. I couldn't get what I wanted, but I kept trying. But, I lived in farmland.
Yeah.
And people were like, well, I don't care about science, but I wanted to get to the kids that could, that wanted to do that. And so I did. I did the best I could. And so that got a little piece of my heart right there. I'm like,
yeah, if they start thinking about it early, then who knows what they'll do when
that made me cry a little bit.
It was amazing.
Cry a little bit. I just thought, man, so.
There's so many moments in that movie that.
And did you see that Disney is actually donating money to STEM programs in Memphis because Memphis had the largest turnout for Black Panther?
I did not know that. That's awesome.
Disney and Marvel are giving a grant to Memphis, Tennessee, because Memphis had the largest turnout for Black Panther, the film, and there was actual GoFundMe to get kids to go see that film, minority children.
I saw that.
So they raised so much money to get a lot of kids to get to go see that film, and it led the country and put in butts in seats.
That's
for that
amazing.
Film. And so now that school district, Memphis, Wakanda forever, man, they're getting programs. They're getting money for programs for STEM. So that makes my heart happy.
Oh, same here. That's amazing.
So they are giving back, which I like. I like that. I think that's important if you're going to have such a forward-thinking film to try to better society in the long run. Because, that is a problem. That is a problem.
Yeah.
Representation in film has been a big freaking problem, especially for people of color and women and, all of these marginalized groups.
All of it,
it's just like, and so I was so happy to see Black Panther. I was just like, I can't know what that's like as a person of color to watch that film because I'm not a person of color, but I've been a woman and I watched Wonder Woman and I'm like, it's not the same, and I get that. But I know what that film meant to me, so I can only imagine what Black Panther means to people of color. So to me,
it did the same thing for I assume not just women but Black women, especially the Dora Milaje, when when Okoye was standing across from her husband, and she's like, "You would kill me, my love, in a heartbeat for Wakanda." Like,
Yeah. Yeah. She's like, "Yep, this is I'm pledged."
that moment was like, yeah.
And she stopped a rhino.
Yes. Yes.
There was so much cheering in the theater for that film. It was great. Do y'all think politics equals destruction?
No.
I don't think not necessarily.
No.
I'm scrolling through.
It was just a
comments.
thing that we didn't. Me and the other co-hosts, we differed on things. We're like, let's just not argue with each other on the air. Let's just be the friends we always are. But,
Okay, so somebody asked, Mel, got here late. Who is your guest? This is Monty Stickman. He is based in New Orleans, a good friend of mine for many years now. He did
Yes.
my logo for the Science of, the initial logo, design of that. And he's going to have his own show soon called Let's Talk About
we
This.
gotta talk about
We
this.
got to talk about this. We got to talk about this. So as soon as he gets his channel active, I will send you to
Yeah.
Monty.
At any given point, I'm a month away from it. So once I decide, once I figure out what the layout's going to be, I'm a month away. I'm still working on figuring out the layout.
Okay. I have a science question. When I was a kid, I believed that lizard blood was green. I don't know where I picked this up. And when I realized I was wrong, I couldn't figure out where I learned
Star
it.
Trek.
Yeah, probably. Probably Star Trek. And then I found out in one Hulk film, his blood is green in Thor Ragnarok,
Yep.
but in another film, it's been red. So I'm like,
Yeah.
does it
Has
just
he bled
change?
in other movies?
I think I'm trying to think.
I haven't seen him bleed yet. I'm currently working my way through all the Marvel movies again.
I'm
And I
wondering
haven't seen the Hulk
how does
bleed
his
yet.
blood turn green? I don't understand because
Oh wait, no, it was green in the Hulk.
it was green.
Yes, when they
Okay.
put it under the microscope.
It was
and
green.
They,
You're right.
And they made it. They made the blood Hulk out. The blood turned green.
Yes, and somebody just asked, how would you get green blood? Well, that has to do exclusively with the chemical
Yeah.
makeup.
Same way you get green skin, right? I'd assume.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to change
But
probably.
you continue. I'm jumping over you.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about something called spectroscopy. Okay. Spectroscopy is something that I have a little bit of knowledge in. It's called UV vis, infrared. You got the UV spec and you got the visible spectrum. Visible spectrum is what we see. All right, sorry, bug. All right, so things are a particular color based on what they reflect back to us. And so if we're looking at the Hulk, there could be lots of reasons why his blood is green, and there could be lots of reasons why his skin is green. It could be associated with a protein that reflects green back to us. You can more than likely have genetic coding that makes a protein that comes out that color. Okay, so that could be a thing. Now, if we're talking on exclusively like atomic makeup, all right, we know blood is red because of iron. Because of iron, that's why it's red. It's that color, and iron is naturally that color anyway. So spectroscopy is specific elements reflect back a color on the spectrum. So we have the visible spectrum, we have the ultraviolet spectrum, and we have the infrared spectrum. So we know that, and that has to deal with wavelengths. Okay, so the wavelengths that we see. So when we get into the visible spectrum, we can only see a certain amount based on the size. Certain things we can't see, teeny tiny small things, so we have to look at them through a light microscope. That's because the wavelengths don't match what our eyes can pick up. Your eyes can only pick up specific wavelengths, and that's what we see in the visible spectrum, and it's also related to the size of things too.
Awesome.
So
There we
yeah,
go.
your eyes are
Knowledge.
awesome.
Knowledge.
It's power, and it eliminates fear. The more you learn, the less you fear. I find that
Yes.
to be true. Failure, being wrong, is a great teacher if you're willing to learn from your failures. Yes, you
Truth.
have to fail, and often. And that's one of the biases that for my cognitive bias series, these little 1-minute videos that I've been doing for cognitive biases. One of them is outcome bias. People don't realize that success is like 90% failure. And so you think, okay, well, I think it's outcome bias. It's one of the biases. I can't remember which one it is. But there is a bias associated with people think that being a scientist may be hard, but they don't realize that 90% of science is failure. And
Yep.
then you're like, oh, well, scientists know so much. Why can't science solve this problem? Why can't science solve this problem? It solved all these other problems. Do you know all the problems? How they got this? How they got the
Yeah.
solution? There was like 90% failure before they figured it
And
out.
some of those failures end up being successes in other ways too, right?
Right.
So
He's like, this
I
didn't
messed up
work.
with this, but this outcome I can use for that, right?
Use for this thing over here.
Yeah.
So I mean, but see, that's a bias in itself. People don't realize how much failure is associated. So that's something we
That's
gotta.
the same with art. Like
Yeah.
I'm only as good at art as I am now because I've drawn so much garbage in the past.
You've got to have garbage to
Yes.
get to the good stuff. STEM research should have a ton of funding because it is a high rate of return. Yes, it does pay for itself, though a lot of people don't see that. What do you guys think about the SJW narrative of colored person is racist as opposed to person of color? Because I think, and I'll just speak for myself, and then Monty
You
can
go.
go ahead and chime in. Because of the fact they used colored people go here, colored people go there. This is the colored people water fountain. This is the colored people bathroom. This is the colored people colored person pool, as opposed to a person of color, which technically they mean the same thing, but the fact that colored person was used as a derogatory term and person of color is not used as a derogatory term. What do you think?
I'm with you on that, but there's lots more to break down in there. I don't like the SJW narrative part like that. Like whenever I see those three letters put together like that, I'm like, all right, this is somebody that's gonna possibly spew something that, and not that you are, Hollabo. I don't think that you are, but I'm just saying why I don't like that. And so I don't like that part, and I'm with you 100% on the color person thing. And I'm not a fan of the phrase of the person of color thing, as far as it doesn't just refer to me as a black person. It's a broader group that
Yes.
that refers to.
It is a broader
So,
group.
and I'd rather, like, I could go on and on about this, but I'll keep it short, like, because I honestly don't believe in black people, don't believe in white people. I believe in your actual ethnicity, like where you're from.
Yes.
Like white people isn't a thing. Like it's something that's made up. Like you're German, you're Irish, you're whatever.
Yes.
Like let's celebrate that. Those are cool.
Yes.
But white? No, I don't want to celebrate white. That's your skin
You
color.
focus more on like the actual cultural
Yeah,
aspects
and,
of things.
like-
And it varies
Yeah.
with people. You know, it does vary.
Yeah. So, but that's the short of it. So
That's the short of it.
Watch the show when it starts. We'll dig more into a lot of that stuff.
Yes. Karak bleeds. Behold the god who bleeds. Hulk might have influenced me. Thanks for the response. You're welcome. Certain skinks do have green blood. Wow.
Oh, nice.
Surprising no ham skink, for example. Fantastic, Side Strike. Thank you. One thing about the female Thor in the saga, he do wear a woman dress at one point. The biggest problem with the comic and the films are that Thor is not exactly a good-looking guy. Okay,
Nice.
my guest name is Monty Stickman. Yes, I know my Periscope title is different from the YouTube title, and that was my fault. I use Restream, and I forgot to update my titles. I do that sometimes because I am a human, and I'm on vacation, and I didn't do that.
New Orleans does things
New
to
Orleans
you.
does
Like,
things to my brain. It's the voodoo.
It's
the
the voodoo, the
voodoo,
food, and the alcohol.
food and the
Put all
alcohol.
three of those together.
I mean,
and
they were handing out. Okay, so there was a 5K running down the street, and they were handing out mimosas, which is orange juice and champagne. They were giving that to the runners. They were like, "Here,
Yes.
have a mimosa." Okay, I'm running this 5K. Let me drink like 4 of these. I want
Yes.
you to hit the ground later, right before I get to the.
Oh, if they're from New Orleans, they won't hit
Yeah,
the ground
you know,
later.
so-
They're fine. We're professionals here.
Okay, thank you, scientists. No, we simply don't have the problem in Denmark. People are people in any case. There you
Boom,
go.
Denmark.
Didn't Loki get Thor to dress as a woman? He probably did. Loki is pretty funny.
Loki became a woman at one point in the comics.
Oh, goodness.
For about 6 months straight, Loki was a woman, and it was the same Loki. It wasn't a clone or anything. He was just a woman.
Just a woman.
She was a woman.
She was a woman, you know?
Yes.
Hey, that's awesome. So, any other questions on this? We're right over an hour.
Nice.
Yeah, and I know you got a million things to do today. And this is
It'll
fun.
happen.
This is fun.
We're going to Disney World. Like,
Yes.
I always wanted to scream that somewhere, and now we're
you did it,
broadcasting. I get to
He's
scream
going
it.
to Disney World, so you can go ask Thor directly.
Yes.
Please
I'll
do
talk
ask
directly to
Thor.
Thor. If you guys have any questions, send them to Scientist Mel, and I will text her back responses while I'm in Disney, and she can share them.
Yes. So, we can see if you meet Thor, to ask
Yeah.
him about the hammer.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think, don't they have, they're going to have Black Panther characters there too.
There
They
should be. There
They
should be, yeah.
So if you see Shuri, ask her about the liposome tech.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Liposome tech. I have to remember that.
And so you always miss the good streams. Oh, it's okay, Side Strike, you can watch it later. And so, are you on Twitter? Do you
I
have
am
a
on
Twitter where
Twitter,
you
yes.
post your
Yes,
stuff?
I am Twitter, and I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. Just look for Monty, and look for Monty Stickman on any of it. And Stickman is spelled Stikkmann.
Okay.
No C's, just Stikkmann.
I'll send everybody
Yes.
links on my Twitter and post them in the video.
Yes, and I actually have a YouTube channel that I rarely post on. If you
Okay.
search that on YouTube, and when we start streaming, I'll advertise it from there too.
Okay, well, send me the links and text, and I'll put it all on here, and then everybody can go follow
Perfect.
you. He does amazing artwork, guys. You should really check it out. So, thank you for being on here,
Thank you for
Monty.
having me. This has been awesome.
This has been awesome. Awesome with an
Yes,
M.
we need to
Monty
do this
Mossum.
more. We need to do this more, and we'll be doing more work together. Especially if you're up for doing what we talked about on my show.
Yes.
We'll be in touch all the time.
We had like a really good breakfast over at Dizzy's Cafe, man. It was.
Oh, I'd love to see a Black Thor too.
Yeah, Black Thor would be cool, man. Like,
All right.
Hold on, like female Black Thor.
Yes. Oh my God.
We kind of already got a little bit of that in Wakanda, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With the female army. Man.
Oh, yeah.
God.
When she got on that car and threw the spear, and then that
Yes. She's
All
like,
right.
I'm gonna handle this, and
Yeah.
you're like, yes, I believe you. So it's like, absolutely. So thanks for being on the show.
Yeah.
And if you guys have any further questions, hit ask in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter, and I'll send you all the links to Monty's stuff so you can check out the work he does.
awesome.
This has been cool.
This has been great. This has been great.
You guys have an awesome Saturday. Bye.